Welcome. In front of me is an iPhone 15 Pro, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick look at the device and see what has changed between the new iterations of it. So anyway, let's just get straight into it. Packaging, as you can probably gather, nothing has changed here. And we still have these nice pull tabs. I do have to say I do like that. It makes unboxing much simpler. And right off the bat we have our phone. Then we get a braided cable. That's actually pretty nice. It's a Type-C to Type-C. That's the first change. And, well, almost the only change. Then we get some little garbage designed by Apple in California, manufactured by little children in China. Just didn't include that one. Okay, so let's get a look at the device. Peel that off and put it up. We still have the dynamic island, as they call it. Now the benefit now is that the 15 non-Pro also has it, unlike previous generation. So okay, I do have to say one thing has changed. The design. Previously the edges of the device were a little bit more sharper and rougher. Now the device sits a little bit better in hand. Now it's a very minuscule thing, but it's honestly the first thing that I noticed when I grabbed the device and held it normally as I would do as I would hold a normal phone. So yeah, it actually makes it feel a little bit nicer. Now, jumping into the specs, let's start off with the display. It looks like the bezels got even smaller nowadays, but they still haven't removed that ugly ass little dynamic island. It's like a band-aid to a problem that instead of fixing it, they just kind of like stuck it in and said like, yep, that's fixed, cool. So anyway, let's just get round on the specs. So display is a 6.1 inch display, 1179 pixels by 2556. So it's basically 1080p display, a little bit over that. It is a LTPO Super Retina XDR OLED display. Now, just in simple terms, it's a 120 Hz refresh rate OLED display. Whoop-de-doo, solved it for you, Apple. Made it much simpler and more digestible to a normal person that is looking at this spec list and trying to figure out what the heck is LTPO Super Retina XDR. They should have stuck with just without the R and XD, because like seriously. Now, moving on to a bit more usable information about the display. It peaks at a 2000 nit brightness, meaning it gets freakishly bright. And that is a good thing for a device, so especially when you're using it outside and it's super bright. This will make this device one of the easiest things to see during the daytime in sunlight, so pretty nice. Moving on down the list, in terms of the battery, that's honestly a very laughable battery size right here. It's a 3274 milliampere battery. For a device this size, this I would have expected to have 4500 battery. Yeah, a little bit low in my opinion here. But just to kind of be the devil's advocate, I guess, Apple does tend to limit their battery usage on the device based on the software pretty well. So this device still will have a fairly good battery life nonetheless, even though the battery cell right here is on a smaller side. Now imagine what could have they done if they included 4500 battery. Mind-blowing. It would be probably one of the longer lasting devices. But they can't have that, because that's designed for Apple 15 Pro Max. Anyway, moving on, this device comes with a, no surprise, Apple A17 Pro chipset. So, just a newer one. Now, the major change now is that it apparently supports ray tracing, because that's what we all cared about, to have ray tracing on a device. We didn't get rid of the island, we just added more crap to the device to make it more sellable. Now, I believe this will be probably better for the headsets, the VR headset, spatial computing headsets. For the phones, I don't think it matters that much that the device can do ray tracing nowadays, but like I said, gaming on a VR, probably a pretty decent thing to have. So that will be nice to see once Apple drops the $3,500 device. For the phones, like I mentioned, I see very little usability for this kind of feature, and probably would have been better to spend that like resources for the device in some other places, like mind-blowing idea, hiding dynamic island. Just, thinking out loud here. I'm not even copywriting this, Apple, so you can use that. Anyway, moving on. We have 8 GB of RAM built into the device with 128 GB of storage. That is the very base version, the lowest end of it. And it goes up to 1 TB. Now that can get pretty huge, to be honest. There's a joke to be made there. Anyway, now the storages right here are NVMe, so they will be blazing fast. So in terms of recording at 4K, 8K, stuff like that, or editing videos on the device, no problem. This device will chew through that without much of a hesitation. Now, let's flip over to the cameras. Now in terms of cameras, we have a triple camera setup, and the main one is a 48 megapixel wide sensor, f1.8, 24 millimeters. Then we got a 12 megapixel f2.8, 77 millimeters telephoto lens, and 12 megapixel f2.2, 13 millimeter, 120 degree field of view ultra wide lens. Now with those cameras, you can shoot at 4K 60 frames max. 30, 25, 24 are also available, and same thing goes for the 1080p, but 1080p has the addition of having 120 and 240 slow motion. Oh, that was a quick list of specs for the cameras. Now let's flip it over to the front, and we have another camera right here, and that is a 12 megapixel f1.9 23 millimeter wide lens. So there we go. And in terms of recording, 4K, same thing as the back ones, and 1080p. It just lacks the 240 Hz or 240 frames per second slow motion, but it still has the 120. So, anything else to say here? I'm trying to see if I missed anything, but... Oh, charging speeds. So I didn't touch upon those just yet. So I did mention the battery size. Now in terms of wired charging speeds, it's advertised that it's going to get your device to 50% in 30 minutes, and wireless with MagSafe 15, it just says that it supports it. So 15 watts wireless MagSafe and 7.5 watts wireless Qi charging. Because these are apparently two different standards, even though they're basically, if I'm correct, both work on the same basis. Just one is a proprietary technology from Apple that is copyrighted. So there we go. That's the not so new, brand new iPhone. So like I mentioned, not much more has changed. Actually, like I probably kind of glanced over, we do have a Type-C port nowadays. So no longer do you have to buy the Apple certified cables. Nice. Now, just that being said, it's not like Apple did it because they wanted to, like they claimed on the, WWDC that they had. They did it because the European Union is the smart one and forced them into this. So if they could, they obviously wouldn't give you the Type-C because they make way too much freaking money selling people the actual allowance, or basically a pass to sell Apple certified products. Now they don't have the ability to do that anymore because I can use this cable and it will work just as well as this cable. Go figure. So that's the biggest change on the device, and basically the only change on the device. The other one would be the processor, but that is expected. When you're getting a new device, you would expect it to give you at least something new. And still, for over 1,000 euros, I think it is. I think the device in USD costs about $1,000. So in any case, for $1,000, if you have the previous one, don't upgrade it. It's just you're producing e-waste right there. And as Apple wants to, fork out we're so eco-friendly, instead of producing devices every single freaking year, how about we just produce them once every 3 years and make them significantly better and more viable for upgrades? Crazy idea there. So yeah, if you have the previous one, don't upgrade it. It's I'm kind of memeing with the environment and all that stuff, to be honest. because I know that whoever wants to upgrade will upgrade, but if you really care about it, that's not the purpose for me saying it. The purpose is this device provides you so little upgrade that it questions why would you even upgrade it. So with just a faster processor, which already the previous one was basically one of the fastest things you can have anyway, it's really redundant to upgrade to another fastest processor that has no competition, that still does everything as well as the previous one does, and the device still looks the same. The only difference is the Type-C. So yeah. Anyway, that being said, hopefully you found this video helpful, fun in some way. If you did, don't forget to smash like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.